Hello everybody, welcome back to another Polytopia 1v1. I was playing Zabasi here in the south, and my opponent was Barter here in the west. So, this game was an extremely long game. It was like 34 turns or something. Took me almost 2 hours to play. Or maybe it did take me 2 hours. I wasn't keeping track of the time. So, they were Barter here. They did very standard opening, getting 2 animals. The best thing is they could immediately see that I was playing Zabasi because they have one of my field tiles. And I also do a standard opening. They get a village, I get a ruin. So, they step onto the village. They get forestry before I get construction from this ruin. Now, for those of you who have watched my Beginner's Guide to Polytopia, you'll know that construction, for Zabasi specifically, is the best technology that you can get. They get organization before they capture, and they can see that I have, like, all the farms. So, I get writing and organization, so I can upgrade my city and get a writer. They get meeting stars. They get climbing with those meeting stars. I don't really know why they got climbing. It was a bit of a weird play. So, I capture, level up here. I take a workshop instead of an explorer, because giving myself vision of this area isn't as useful as getting vision of this area. So I'm going to get an explorer on this city instead. So they get archery and capture this city up here. Continue expanding. This city here has no farms, so I have to use construction to burn a forest and make a farm. And so I get an explorer from that, and I get really good vision and a lighthouse. They're training archers, so I can see that they've got archery now. I siege their city, knowing they'll be able to unsiege. The reason I'm sieging here is for one reason and one reason only. To deny them stars, those 3 stars this turn. So, I knew there was another village down here because there was empty space. So there's likely a village or a ruin down here. So they keep using their archers to control my riders up front. But I have roads, and so I can just outrange their riders infinitely. I get an explorer here, hoping that I'll get vision of up here, and maybe if they've expanded up there. Turns out I don't because there's mountains right there. So they just move all their archers forwards. They get meditation and mining. I don't really know why they get meditation here, because I don't think they get philosophy. And they're not going to get pacifist, so I get border growth here for these farms down here. And I siege again, desperately hoping it will stick, but knowing it definitely won't. So, I move on to these ruins. They get this lighthouse. And they get upgrade here for stars. I get population here. And I get trade from this other ruin. Trade gives me access to markets and the wealth thing, but the wealth task isn't as important as the markets. So, I'm starting to think about placing markets, but I don't end up placing any markets for a long while, because markets are hard to set up when you have low income. It'd take away from my military, and that would allow them to get an advantage. They get farming from this ruin, and use it to level up these cities. They take border growth here for a few extra star potential, population potential. I siege here, hoping only to deny them stars, knowing they can unsiege. So they've expanded up to here at this point. And they get smithery, so that they can get swordsmen. And in one of my other videos, I believe I showed a game that was swordsmen versus riders. And it was another really long game like this one that I ended up winning with riders. So I know that I can beat swordsmen here. Okay, I hit here with this 1 health rider because this guy, this giant, cannot siege alone. So I need to hit with something and do 1 damage in order to siege. So I do that. I know they can probably giant push me out of the city. I get fishing before I capture here, even though it takes a lot of stars, and level up for a workshop. So yeah, they giant push here, like I was expecting. And so they have a giant here. I hit, and I'm going to win this giant battle, because I just have more health and more supporting units. I siege there. I desperately hope they can't unsiege, because this warrior can't kill, and they don't have an archer or another warrior in range. What I did consider is that they might have a scout in range, but they don't. So, I'm thinking at this point, oh yes, the city is mine. Yeah. No, that's not at all how it works. Because they just pop a giant. And so now I've got my 117 health giant against their other giants. And I'm like, okay, now that I've sieged the city, surely I can take it now. Like, there's no way for them to unsiege. But you'll see what happens in this next turn. So I'm on the water at this point. I'm leveling up a bunch of cities using road connections and port connections. So I'm like, oh, great. Oh. And then they pop another giant. So they've got 2 giants out of this city. I've only got 1 giant. I've had better giant value, but that doesn't matter so much. I placed on my first market, which is unfortunately only a level 2 market. So I get another giant in my capital. So that's 2 giants from my capital. There's this giant here, which is going to die regardless. So there's nothing I can do there. They're leveling up a bunch of cities up here for more stars. I land my raft right here. And see that they actually are there now. And I upgrade this windmill again for a giant and another market level. I'm just training more riders, and I'm just gonna be chipping away at this giant. I get port here, and for this connection, so they're moving here. This giant is dead. They've got a lot of swordsmen, and they've got quite a heavy advance, which worries me, but I've got 2 giants here that can take the brunt while I use my riders to get some pushback. I get sailing here. And see that there's a village here that they haven't captured. So they get fishing because I think they know that I was on the water and they want to get on the water as well. So I take out all units from this city, and my goal is to siege that city, which I managed to do, denying them important income. But this giant here, watch it very closely, because what's about to happen is going to be very important. I leave this city. I leave this city completely undefended. I know if I train anything in it, it'll just die from the giant, because giants are powerful. So, as they come, they move all their units forward. They unsiege here. They get vision of my capital. They move their giant into the city. At this point, I'm kind of going, like, oh, I can do that. What can I do? Well, I have just enough units in range to kill this warrior, to move here, and block all the spaces. So, I do this, and then I burn this forest, place a monument, and place another monument here. Watch what happens to this giant. It just disappears. When you fully surround a city and pop a giant, the unit that is inside the city, if it has nowhere to go, will disappear. This is called a Houdini because it's a disappearing act, and I successfully pulled it off for the second time in a game. I might do a review of the first time I ever got it, but that game is even longer than this one. And so I wish I could have been in the same room with this person just to see their reaction to the Houdini, because they probably didn't expect it. They probably didn't expect me to be able to just destroy their giant like that. And with that one move, most of their offensive force, which is their giant, is gone. Now, unfortunately, they do have this 30 health giant, which kind of hurts, because, yeah, it dealt a lot of damage. So now this giant that I popped the last turn is at 15 health. They sieged a city over here with swordsmen. And they level up their capital for the first time for a giant. I kill this giant with my 15 health. And I'm now advancing my 3 giants. And I managed to unsiege here and kill this unit. I wanted to siege this city, but I didn't have the units. I placed down another market. That market is going to be a very powerful market later because I can get 2 windmills, both of which are very highly leveled up there. So they get mathematics for sawmills and for catapults. So I'm making 34 stars, which is quite a lot actually. And I'm just using my scouts to maintain water control over them and use it to decimate any force they have on close to the coast on this land. So I come here. This market is only level 2. So over here, this market is only level 2. But I can, with by burning these 2 forests, both of these would level up twice, and this would become a level 6 market, which is vastly better than it was before. So they almost killed this giant here, so I'm going to need to heal that one up and not have it go into combat. So they're trying to get onto the water. I'm basically saying, no, you can't do that, and completely stopping them. What I am worried about is this giant here getting on the water, because juggernauts are one of the only ways you can use, one of the only ways you have to break another player's water control, because they absorb so much damage that they give you time to develop your own navy behind them to push out. So see, this is what I was talking about, leveling up both of these to get the level 6 market. And I level this one up here. And next turn, I can burn this forest for 3 more population and get a giant there. So they finally capture the last open village on the map. they veteran this swordsman, which is annoying, because now I have to spend 3 units to deal with it. But I decided to not deal with it this turn. So, this is the other farm I was talking about. This boosts this level here, and gets me a giant there. See, their Juggernaut is on the water, and it's causing damage to my scouts here. And they get sailing, finally, so that they can start getting some scouts of their own. The only issue with what Barter has been doing this whole game is that swordsmen cost 5 stars, and so most of their military production is going into swordsmen, which are expensive. So I sieged a city. I know they can't unsiege unless they pop another giant, but I'm like, there's no way they can do that. So I'm really close to sieging this city as well. And so I do siege it. I know they can unsiege because they've got a catapult, an archer, and a juggernaut in range. So they used both of their catapults to hit this giant, which brought it from 40 health down to 24 health. Catapults are absurd in this game. They are so powerful. But the important thing about this turn is that this siege sticks, and this siege does not. So I capture the city, finally. And so now I have a much more further forwards area that I can use to attack these 2 cities. And I get ramming to deal with their scouts and their juggernaut that they had. So I've got this juggernaut here, and then I've got these other giants as well. So they continue. They almost kill this giant with this catapult. It's at 12 health, which is very scary, because that means it's very nearly dead. So I unsiege here, continuing to use my scouts to gain water control. Okay, what they did with this giant is the most confusing thing in this entire game. It confuses me the most. So, what they did with the giant is, on this turn here, they turned it into a juggernaut. Then they sent the juggernaut forwards. Then they sent it back onto land. Then they sent it back onto the mountain. And then they sent it back to be a juggernaut. I'm so confused. Like, why didn't you just keep it a juggernaut? If you know why they did that, just tell me in the comments below. So, they're sieging this city. I have way more than enough firepower to deal with them. I can completely destroy that swordsman. And I sieged a city, and they have no way to unsiege it, even with this juggernaut. I level up this city here for a giant. Yeah, you can see they can only get this giant down 18 health. 20 health. But I still managed to capture. And then I immediately use a monument to pop another giant. So, at this point, I know that I'm going to capture their capital and win. So it would have been totally reasonable for them to resign in this position. they didn't. I think they were playing it out to the end because they'd already sunk so much time in. But I don't really know. See, at this point, we're 32 turns in. And this giant is dead, unfortunately. So I continue using all my water control to destroy any counterplay they can have on the water and advance my giants with enough support. So I get mining. Mining was an interesting play for me, because I had to get climbing in order to Houdini. So I got mining, basically, in order so I could get smithery to level up my markets more. That's all I did it for. So they almost kill this juggernaut, instead of focusing on the giants that are about to siege their capital. So I've just got 2 giants on their doorstep. And so I'm going to siege next turn, and their capital is going to be defeated. They've got almost no units. Their score is 5,000 less than mine. I use a rammer to siege this city, and I get smithery for those forges that I talked about. So they try as little counterplay, as much counterplay as they can, which is not very much. So I siege with this my 40 health giant just to make sure they can't unsiege. So I'm like, finally this game that's been taking 2 hours is over. Yeah, not quite. So they managed to giant push me out of the city. Now what this is a demonstration of how to kill a giant in 1 turn. Right here. You hit with as many units as you can. Just like this. And then you use your own 2 giants to attack. So, I get Free Spirit, Chivalry, get rid of this one, get a Forge here to level up this market more, and get a giant here. Get a market, and this one is level 4, so I'm producing 77 stars per turn. They're producing 4. So, the game is over at this point. I capture their capital, and the game ends. So thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.